Hello everyone. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at a post request from end to end. Previously, we have taken a look at get request to actually populate these recent albums page. Now we want to take a look at a post request where instead of retrieving some data from the service, we are actually passing some data to the service so that the service can store that information. So if we go to our browser inspection, you will see that the ID token value is showing there that we are printing from the user service. And with this ID token value, we can actually make a service call from the Swagger UI. So let's go to the Swagger Service Explorer UI, and then if we try to look at user resource, so one of the user resource is API users/me to get the current user. So if I try to get that, and if I click on try it out, and if I put that ID token here, and then if I execute it, you will notice that it's giving the ID is null, name is null, email address is null, profile photo URL. So everything is basically null. That's because we saved the user on the Firebase side, but we have never actually registered or saved the user data on our service. So let's see how we can do that. So one of the other API under the user resource is this post for register. So API/user/register, and that is going to save a user. So let's try that out. So if I go there, and it's basically telling me to provide this information. So I'll try it out, and in the email address, I'll give the currently logged in user's email address. And then ID, I can keep that one blank because it will get auto generated from the service. And in the name, I'll put my name. And we'll need to provide a profile photo URL. So we can go there and provide a profile photo URL. So right now we're going to just provide a image from somewhere on the internet, but later we'll start using our own uploaded photos. So if I go to our profile component, I think we have used an image there before. So I can use that same image URL here. So I provided the profile photo URL, and now I can go and execute. And it actually saved the user, and then it returned that data, that exact same data that I provided. Now I can go ahead and try that API/user/me one more time, and hopefully this time it should give those details. So what it did is it's actually saved the user information on the database, and then when I am making a request with the ID token, as we have seen before, that from the ID token the service can actually communicate with Firebase and find out who this ID token belongs to. So it can find the email address from there, and then after that it used that email address to find the user information. So that's how it worked out. Now the same thing, how can we do it from our application rather than through this UI? Let's take a look at that. So hopefully the saving user, that should happen when the user comes first time and then they're trying to like sign up for it. So let's go back to our sign up form. So log out from here, and then this gives us our sign up form. So currently in our sign up form, we only have have email address and password. So let's go ahead and add another field for the name so that we can take the name input from user. So I will go to the login component, and here, so I'll go to the sign up section. So this is the sign in form, and here is the sign up form, and in the sign up form we have email and we have password. So I'll add one more field here. For name of the user, and type will be text because it's just a text field, and then the ng model for this one, let's call this variable name, we don't need this particular property. So now that we have a ng model called name, we should add a variable name with name equals to name in the TypeScript component. So currently we have email, password. Let's go ahead and let's add here name, which is also of data type string. So we should get the name, and let's see if that's working. So yes, we have a name field here. So we'll get the name as input when the user clicks on this sign out. So while we are here, let's actually do a little bit of cleanup. We have this check me out button in both sign in and sign out. Let's remove that because we are not using that functionality. So I will go ahead and delete this check me out from the sign up form as well as from the sign in form. So it's removed from the form, and then the form is simplified in the sign in to form 2 field, in the sign up is 3 field, name, email address and password. Now let's look at the sign up flow. So when the user clicks on sign up, we basically get, currently we're only using email and password. So now at the same time, let's use this another parameter, this dot name, and now the service needs to be modified so that the service also take that as an input. So name string. So now we have the name, and then when to actually use this name field. So after the sign up is done, in the sense that we have created this user, then we're saying that success. So in this case, we can put that remaining logic here. So for that, let's create another method called save user. Actually, instead of save user, let's call this register user. Register user. And then, so Sign up is actually just sign up, and register user is saving the user in our system. And then we don't need the password for that. We just need this email and name field. So let's add them here, name and email. And we're going to call this method once this part is done. So the sign up happened. So we are going to call this dot register user, and we're going to pass the data, which is the email and name. And then so this method is going to work asynchronously, like it's going to make a HTTP request, and after the request is successful, then actually we should be done with this. So we are not going to actually immediately do this router navigation. We are going to do it after that remaining task is done. So we are going to move this inside that method. So we're going to move this. This navigation should happen a little bit later. Now, so what should happen before the registration? We are going to make a HTTP post request to save these user details. So for that one, let's create a user object. So we already have the user class. We can use that user class to create the user object. So it will look like this. Var user. Var is a keyword for variable, or you can also use the keyword let. User colon user, that's the data type, equals to, and then here we are going to create an instance of a user. Now it's going to complain about the data type because it's not imported here, so we are going to import this. So be careful here, it's giving multiple options. We want to import the user, that the user object that we created. So we're going to import that, and once it's imported, now let's take a look at what are the attributes inside the user. It has ID, email address, name, profile photo, URL. So let's do those. So we need to provide value for each of them, and then the syntax for this will look like here, instead of colon, it will be a comma when you are actually constructing the object. This is the JSON syntax. So ID is, as we said, we don't need to provide, so we can make it empty. Email address is going to be the email we just got here. So email, that's coming as a parameter here. Name will be same name. The profile photo URL is, we are currently using this hard-coded value here when we're for the first time creating a user. So we can just put it here, or we can declare it as a attribute here. Default profile photo colon string equals to, here is the value. And now that we have it, we can go ahead and we can put here this dot default profile photo. And so now we have the user object created. So we can go ahead and we can make a HTTP post request. So for the HTTP post request, we'll need the API URL, right? So the API URL, we currently have it inside the album service. So here, this is the API URL. Now we can copy this API URL, but then we'll be using the same API URL in multiple places. And then because for most of the part, it will be like similar. And then if anything changes, we need to go to like multiple places to fix that. So instead of that, what we can do is we can copy this common part somewhere, and then we can use that common part. So up to this part will be common. So let's copy this part, and we can put it inside somewhere like environment. So we can go there, and in the environment we can add a variable here is API base URL, and we're going to put the value here, API base URL. We need a comma here, and then let's put it in both the environment.ts and environment.ts. And then once we have that in the album service, we can actually use it from there. So we can do here environments. .api base URL. We can get it like this, and that part is going to be up to this part, right? So we can remove that, and we can put it here before the string, and then we can truncate that with the string. So this plus sign is for string truncation. This part is giving me from the environment up to the API part, and then here we are adding this remaining part, and that is giving us the whole URL. So now we can use this similar approach in the user service. So let's go to the user service, and we can actually write something like this. So HTTP is complaining, we need to, let's try the quick fix. Actually we don't have the HTTP here, so we need to declare that as a dependency similar to this. So private HTTP client. So user service, we'll have a new dependency here. HTTP client, and then we can do the corresponding import. Now we have HTTP here, environment, we can do a quick fix and import environment. So let's import, and then here the URL for, so let's take a look if this we're going to make a post request, and the post request, what is going to be the endpoint for the post request? It's going to be this register, so API/users/register. So we just need this part, user/register, and then this particular URL doesn't API does not ask for the ID token, so we can remove the header part. So it's going to be user/register, and we don't need the header. Instead, since this is a post request, we need to give a body. So if you look at the description, the first part is URL, the second part is body. So the body is what we are trying to save, so this variable user. So we can just give that, and that's going to save the user. Now this is going to actually return a observable. So similar to before, we can actually subscribe to this observable dot, let's do it in the next line, dot subscribe, and then within the subscribe, when the response come back, we need to do something. And then so let's call this response. When we get the response, we don't actually need to do anything with the response, we just need to do this part. So the saving the user is successful. Now we can navigate this dot router dot navigate album, because we actually save the user in Firebase, and we also save the user in our service as well. And one other thing we can do is here, let's print something. So success sign up, and here let's call this success registration. Success registration, save. And we don't need any value here. Now we can try it out. So we can go to our application, and we go to the sign up page, and we type a name here, and we type a email address, and we go to the password, and we type a password, and then we click on sign up, and it went to the recent album page. That means something has happened. So we can go to the console, and we can see that it's coming up as success sign up and also as success registration. So the user must be saved in our system. So let's try to see that if that actually happened. So we can go to the Swagger UI, and we can try to get user with the new ID token. So I can go here, and then if I refresh this page, I should get a ID token. So with that ID token, if I call the get user, it should be able to give me the right user. So it's giving me, for some reason it gave me the name equals to null, the email address is correct, and then the profile photo is correct. So somewhere there is a disconnect happening. Why? That's why we missed the name. So let's take and debug that. So the name is here, registered user, it's coming from sign up name, and then in the login component we have name, and that name is connected in the login component.html. Name field is ng model equals to name. So it looks like we are connected end to end, but somehow we missed the name part. So let's go ahead and debug that. So we can go in the login component.typescript, and we can print here the name, console.log name in component equals to name. This dot name, and then we can copy this, and we can go ahead in the user service where the sign up is getting called, and here we can actually print name in sign up, and here it's just called this dot name, and then finally we put here the name in registration name. Now let's try that out. So for this we need to go ahead and log out, and let's try to sign up with a new user. So let's put a name here, put an email address here, and then finally an email here, password here, and then we click on sign up. It should give us the details of the name everywhere. So name in component, it's there, name in sign up, it's there, name in registration, it's there, and finally it's saying success registration. So let's take a look. So the name is the variable name, and here the variable name is name, and in the user class the variable name is name. So it looks to be correct everywhere. Let's take another look at Swagger API with the new Firebase ID token value that we got for this particular user. So let's try for that and execute. So in this case, now it gave the name correctly. So for some reason it missed it the first time, but we debugged it, and in this case it worked. We probably need to try it out, and then if we see any issue there, we need to debug further, but at this moment it's working. The name is coming up in the service. So that's how the post request actually worked, starting from the form, going to the component, and then from the service it directly went there. Thank you everyone.